Hello, beautiful Lovetarians. This is Natalia PH with the Lovetarian Way podcast, and we're going to be talking about freedom of medical care. I have with me a fantastic guest, integrative health expert. I mean, this lady, applied psychology, bioresonance practitioner, traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. Oh my God, she's been around, she's been doing this for decades, and she looks like a goddess in her 20s.
Thank you.
Philippa Harvey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me well, Natalie?
Very, very well.
Thank
We
you.
see you well. You're all
That's
shiny
lovely.
and beautiful.
So thank you so much for inviting me. And of course, I follow your podcast anyway. And the job that you do is just beautiful. And let's see how we can give a little bit of my ideas about how I think our health management should go. Thank you for all the compliments. It's a lifetime of studying. It's picking up bones since I walked in the forest when I was about 6, I think. My passion for biology, for nature, and for human being interaction with our ecosystem has been, I think, ever since I can have a reason, ever since I can remember, really.
Beautiful. And you truly do embody it. You've got this
Yes.
piece about you. And, a lot of, here's the thing. For me, to no disrespect to traditional, I mean, the what do you call it, allopathic medicine. Not at all. I mean, everything has its purpose, yeah? The problem for me is that when I want to see a doctor, I want him to embody what they stand for. I want them to look healthy. I want them not to smoke. I want them to not be obese. I'm sorry, but that's my expectation. And it's not a judgment per se that, I mean, the person does what they want to do. I don't want to take advice from a person like that. That is my freedom to choose. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But we live in a society that over, I'd say, 50, 60 years, we have lost our autonomy on our healthcare. I mean, probably even longer. If we go, I'm going to be a bit mean here and go back on the story a long, long time ago. I read it, so forgive me for not quoting. I like to quote because I'm a scientist, but I didn't write down where I read it from. Where they said in the beginning, when medical schools started around the world, we had it was new, this concept. Everyone looked after themselves for a while. You went to see the osteopath or equivalent to the naturopath. You went to the lady who gave you the herbs, and you more or less kept hold of your own health. Then they started to institutionalize health medical care, which is great to make sure everyone's more or less on the same page. Let's all go forward and let's help the human being. And then medications also started coming in. So this guy once, to put a name behind just a name, decided to go and see how many of these medical schools were around, let's say, America. Okay, so he went around America, seeing how many of these schools were going on. And then he came back saying, well, there's 14 or 10 or 6 schools. Let's help them to become doctors. And this is when medical schools became part of an institution, should I say, which was backed by pharmaceuticals. Medicine then dictated, not the doctor, what was going on in medical schools. So we lost the art of healing a long time ago. And now over the years, we have little fantastic professionals in all the different areas, fantastic specialists in all the areas, but we've lost really the essence of coming back to we're still human. And I'm trying to stay human as much as possible with all this technology that's going on. So over the years, if you see most medical schools, the strongest amount of money comes from pharmaceutical industries. Okay, so that essence of the doctor, a lot of very good doctors, and a lot are just part of a structure for a profession and a job. And this comes back to what my medicine is about. And my medicine is about a good old-fashioned, should I say, body electric. So we're not just mechanical, where my colleagues, my allopathic doctors are mechanical doctors. We have energy in us. And this is not some esoteric energy. This really is electronic energy in our body. We know our heartbeats with electronic cells. Our brain waves can be frequencies that are very, very easily measured nowadays with machinery. And basically, everything that goes on in our body, in every cell, is charged electronically. And this is how it communicates within us. So this is where we come back to, yes, it would be nice to see if the art of healing comes back to these wonderful doctors, allopathic and non-allopathic.
How do you see that happening in today's world? Let's be a little bit realistic. I'm not talking about 100 years from now. What is the path, the way you see it, being in it as a medical professional? How do you see that path?
That's a good question, Natalie. I do work with amazing medical practitioners, and just with me being in their paradigm, in their world, and they were, for example, cynical about the impact of acupuncture, or cynical about me helping people with bioresonance or bioelectronic treatments, and seeing it work. Is a little bit my flag for our area. And there are lots of people like me. And the more and more we become integrative therapists with respect of each other's way of healing, we will look after people, animals, plants, whatever you want to do it. For me, much better. Okay, that's what I believe. So it's a little battle. It's a fighting battle. Some countries accept traditional Chinese medicine now in national health, which is a huge step for us. And not because it's Chinese medicine, it could be Ayurvedic medicine, it could be any type of other type of medicine, herb law. It's just giving people the chance to say, oh, it's acceptable, therefore, I can try it. And get people to start thinking again, I think, rather than just following, this is what's on the menu.
Exactly. It does take, I believe, a total paradigm shift, right, for people. I'm talking about the general public who actually massively is right now awakening, has been awakening
Yes.
for quite some time.
Yes.
And I will say it now. Thank you, COVID, because
Yep.
it did propel that awakening, don't you think?
I do think, I'm very sad to say so, but I have to agree. I'm sorry for the people who have
Yes, I'm
lost their
sorry.
lives.
Yes.
But it has, in an ironic way,
Yeah.
when the primary care was stopped, primary medical care was stopped, that you really did not see a doctor or couldn't see a doctor until literally you were put in intensive care, which was a strategy, but a very sad strategy. People then started to have to find solutions for their own healthcare. So rather than delegating it out to external sources, they started to realize how actually in their own path, in their own home, in their own family, they can do a lot of their own healthcare, wellness care.
Yes. I see it as a collapse of paradigm where you are told what to do, because doctors, lawyers, whatever, governments, they tell us what to do, that the authority figures, especially in certain cultures. But that has hugely fallen, right, especially during this time when people were, well, I don't know if that is true, I don't know, I'm not going to get there, if
Yeah.
so many people were dying with COVID or because of COVID, don't know. I had it, I'm here, it was not a big deal. Everybody goes through it differently, right? Nevertheless, it forced people to start to think outside of the box, as you just said.
Yes. Okay. And I'm very much my philosophy of understanding health is a little bit called the terrain theory, in which literally in Chinese medicine and energetic medicine is if your body, your terrain, your pot, if we were a plant, and the soil is healthy, yes, there's going to be bugs. There are bugs in us. There are viruses in us all the time. That very, very small percentage of me here is actually human being bugs or viruses or cells. Millions and billions and billions and billions of bits in me are viruses and bacteria. And thanks to them, I'm healthy. Thanks to them, I'm alive. Thanks to them, I can digest. Thanks to them, I don't know, if there's something in my eye, it gets cleaned. So these are, we have to understand symbiosis. And extreme hygiene that we've been doing is not the answer. for killing everything that world's in our world, because we have to be in symbiosis in our ecosystem, external and internal ecosystem. It's very important.
Well, a good example of that would be when I was a child. I'm sure when you were a child, we were playing in the dirt. We were doing all sorts of things, and we were eating dirt. We were kissing animals, and everything was fine. Unfortunately, what happens today, children are overly protected, should I say that, which is actually not protecting them. The way that children are born with cesarean, right? They're not naturally immune. There's so much vaccination going on of young children, too much, way too much. And all of this is doing what? It's killing our natural defenses, isn't it?
I'm going to take a step further, Natalie. I'm going to be brave here. We're living in an electromagnetic society, highly technical. Okay, I am a technocrat. I worked in IT. I've worked in project management for over 20 years in IT, so I'm not against technology. We're sitting here talking fancy technology, okay? But I'm just putting a word out of caution that in the same way when X-rays came out at the end of the World War, and it was an amazing discovery. We could see through the body. We could see how we can help somebody to help them if their bone was broken. We could set it. We could see illnesses. We could see problems in our chests, in our illnesses, and it was amazing. And then in a very short time, relatively speaking, we saw that this thing called X-ray was actually going through our cells and hurting us more than it was just being able to take a photo of our bone. And the poor people who were managing the X-rays, hundreds died, just to say the least, as well as the couple who actually invented X-rays. Okay, so we're saying technology is good. I'm saying technology is good, but a lot of people, and I'm going to protect a little bit the children here. We are born in a highly technical era with a lot of frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies, out of the normal range that human beings are used to. We have the spectrum comes from the sun. Our ozone protects what comes through. But what's happening now with our Wi-Fi's, and we're living in a huge microwave system, and Wi-Fi is getting stronger and stronger, and the wavelength is getting shorter and shorter, and we are constantly in an environment where we are being scanned or zapped or whatever you want to call it. This fatigues our body. This fatigues our cells. This weakens babies. This weakens mummies. Weakens me. There's days where I'm just absolutely exhausted, and there's no reason at all. But if I'm living in a city, which I am in the last couple of weeks, I'm really tired. I'm not used to it. I love my nature. I love leaving my phone at home when I can, and touching earth, which is something that I recommend. If you can, please do so. A little bit every so often is a digital detox, just for your cells, because it is my medicine. It's bioelectronic. We are an amazing machine, but sometimes we need to just unplug.
Yeah, and then actually top that up, knowing that everything is electromagnetic energy, including our thoughts and our emotions. The amount of fear that have been put into the field, especially over the last few years, and if you are still tapped into the mainstream narrative, wow.
Yeah.
How is that weakening your
It's weakening our immune system tremendously, and fear will always upset our kidneys. Okay, so we'll be seeing a lot of problems with kidneys, a lot of problem with a retention of waters, of not basically just being very stagnated. So kidneys, we have to reinforce them on an energetic perspective in traditional Chinese medicine for fear. But behind the fear, we have sadness. Okay, and this is it's been a very sad, people losing their lives apart from that, but the whole situation of we've been told the paradigm for the last 50 years that we're going to live forever, in marketing, in let's have our Botox, that looks beautiful, this we're never going to age. So for 50 years we've had a fantastic story being told to us, and in the last 2 years reality has hit like a big tidal wave, that we can die, we may die. And, you know, this thing called the virus is actually stronger than anything put together. So it's a bit of a reality check that we are not the omnipotent beings of the universe as human beings. We are part of an ecosystem, external, internal, and we have to live in symbiosis with our natural environment, which also means bioelectronically, electromagnetically, hygiene-wise, and everything else, and especially with our health. I'm just going to quote a lovely chap called Robert Beck. He wrote a book on it's called Body Electric, is one of my favorite Becker, sorry, and he said there's only one health, but there are millions of illnesses. So let's see how we can actually help that one health to stay strong, to fight for everything else here.
Well, that's good that you just said that. Thank you for that quote, because that actually brings us to the topic of freedom. We have so all the bad stuff is out now, people. We have created a background, and now let's go to solutions. So that freedom of medical care, because once again, majority of people had been pushed in a way with this C thing, the C virus thing, into the mainstream, right? Like, you need to put the thing in your thing because that's going to protect you. You need to do all sorts of, traditional, according to the doctor's solutions. If you don't do it, you silly, stupid, uninformed, whatnot. So, okay, fine. Doesn't matter. 3 jabs, 4 jabs, 5 jabs, still people getting sick. Not a solution for me. So what is, in the light of all of this, what is our freedom? How would you describe it? What could we do and take care of ourselves?
I'm going to be a bit political here.
Well,
it saddens me to the core of my soul that somebody values a beer or going out to a restaurant more than the freedom of choice to do what to do with their health. Okay, please, it's very important to be informed of what we're going to do. I did hear the other day, well, a doctor prescribes you a medication because you have a headache. You just go and take it. You don't look what's in it. Okay. Well, I do. Okay. And normally I open up the prescription and I see what's in it. I might not know all the weird stuff that's in there, but generally speaking, over the years, we tend to know what suits us, what doesn't suit us, corticoids or not, all these type of things. So first of all, in freedom of a health choices, please, if you are given something, read the prescription. Okay, don't just take it on faith. The doctor knows what they're doing, but it's also your body. Okay, and if you don't like it or doesn't suit you, please go back to your doctor and say, "Excuse me, would you mind changing this prescription because it's made me feel ill?"
First, do no harm, doctors, right?
Absolutely,
that is their duty.
absolutely. But I generally speaking, because it is my world, doctors tend to not to want to do harm. But we're coming back to an infrastructure again, or society paradigm, that they have 15 minutes per patient.
Yeah.
Okay, so there really isn't the time for touching, seeing, looking. So from my medicine perspective, the person is unique, individual. You need to have time to see the person. You need to see a little bit their story and what's going on. Like, for example, if I see someone comes to me for mental health or emotional health for children, I will always go and see them at their house, because it's important for me to see the context in which this child is getting stressed, for example, or upset or altered. And as weird as it seems, in the old days, when the doctors knew families and people, they tended to know their context of environment. Yeah.
We always had doctors coming to my house in Poland. We were 3 kids, and doctor always came home, which was really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of my colleagues would love to be able to have that opportunity to go and see us. I mean, my stepdad passed away in October, and we couldn't even get the nurse to come to the house to treat him. Okay, because it was in the countryside, which is 1 street away from where the village ended. So it's very restricting for professionals. They're very apologetic, but it's just not possible. It's because we have just created a real system which just feeds itself really on it's a huge infrastructure, and it's losing it's coming aside on the hems. It's really we've got to look at this better.
But
Definitely.
don't you agree? I mean, we're not vilifying anybody, and I know doctors, most of doctors, they go set out with good intentions, maybe idealism, whatnot, and then they get caught up in the system. So where would that change be? I mean, in my opinion, when I'm choosing, for example, buying organic or ecological food as opposed to whatever crap, I'm voting with my money. If I'm going to go see alternative medicine or integrative medicine practitioner, I'm also voting with my money. I have demanded that service more, right?
Yeah. It also comes down to education, Natalie. It's you are fortunate to have the money to be able to have the choice. Okay, a lot of people aren't in our privileged position. Okay, I'm not saying, but basically, to come and see me, that is obviously a private practice, and this is unfortunate. This is why it's nice that in my little battle, and my colleagues, we try to push for these types of services to be available on a national health system. I mean, this would be the ideal, lovely solution. Actually, like in China, when I was in China and I worked for the traditional Chinese medicine hospital there, or did my practical, sorry. A patient would come to traditional Chinese medicine, or they'd pop over across 2 streets away and go and see the cardiologist for, a bit more, I don't know, for them, more surgical type of things. So the choice is there. The choice was there and is there. And
But
there's no question about it.
of course, money puts you in a better privilege. At the same time, we know that there is abundance of free information. If people really want to not
True.
be, if they really care, and they can also, I'm not talking about poverty, because poverty is
Yes.
it's like a huge problem with everything, right? So I'm talking about the normal person. I'm not a super rich person. I have just
Yeah.
whatever money, I make
Yeah.
better choices, right? Instead of spending money there, I spend money there. So what is your health worth to you? Will you spend $50 on that or on that? Because oftentimes it comes down to that as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were very, very right, Natalie. I mean, when somebody wants information about a new pair of shoes, or what's latest on the market, or what is a trend in a film, they find that information. You're right. So should they want to see a different type of health management, it's also very easy to do so.
And there are a lot of people, including, for example, we had previous podcast with Tobias Laube. He has a free health consultation. He
Yeah.
went and was healing people in Africa,
Yeah.
So there are idealistic people, there are beautiful people who just don't care about money. They really want to genuinely help, right?
Yeah.
So if you really, really want to, yes, it can happen.
Absolutely, yes. And the beautiful thing about what I do, and people in my shoes, is we do actually we do treat, which is nice. It's treatment. And I know MD colleagues say they're not treating much anymore. They're just prescribing. So let's get a little bit back to this essence of being able to be in touch with the person, for patients to start asking for this more, rather than just someone typing behind a monitor quickly to get you out because I've got 15 minutes.
I
Okay.
believe, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you wanted to
Yeah.
finish the sentence?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Just something came to me because I have experience with lots of different doctors in many different countries, been traveling a lot, and I have a history of hypochondria too. So I would see a lot of doctors in my 20s, 20 years ago or something. And the behavior certainly has changed. But one thing I remember always that if they try to brush me off, you have to have a courage to call them on it. Because
Yeah.
there's nowhere in the book that says you have got 15 minutes. I'm like, excuse me,
Mm.
I'm here
Yeah.
to get advice, and you need to be, especially when you have a child or something, you go into a doctor and they will just, no. you stand up and speak your truth. They have an obligation to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Instead of just taking it, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And coming back to the the power of us to actually make the choice, it's very important that we make the choice. It's very important that we start opening up our eyes, and not just counting the adverts on TV on how you're going to get better by certain type of medication. We have to have healthy food within our capacity. We have to eat according to the seasons. Okay. We tend to eat the same thing all year round. This is when we become intolerant to different things. This then starts weakening our soil, our essence, because we're just eating the same thing. And I like pretending, that the large intestine's lazy. Oh, here we go again. What do I have to do here? And so we're not getting the right nutrition. So it's important that we vary our food. It's important that we have it according to the seasons. It's important that we have fresh oxygen, please. This mask thing is absolutely against every principle of health management. So if you have the opportunity to walk without it, do so. Hands behind your back, open up your lungs, get the oxygen. We need it more now than ever. Oxygenation is the most important thing. We need to make sure that we have the right minerals in our food. We tend to talk a lot about the vitamins, okay? But there are over 90 minerals in our body, which comes from the earth. And we have to also make sure that they're in our food one way or another. So vitamins, minerals, exercise is important. And we don't have to run a marathon. We just have to get some fresh air and walk. I practice Shinrin Roku, which is like where you go into the forest or you go into just even walking. And I was walking through Alicante City the other day. I was in my world and I just saw the most beautiful ficus tree. It must have been what comes up from behind the castle in Alicante. And I just stood there, gosh, I haven't been listening to you guys for a long time. And I just stopped and the light coming through the leaves, the grandiosity that must be, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of years old, that tree. And so even in a city, which I am at the moment, we can connect to nature. And so these are things, it's just being aware and conscious about me, myself, how I'm feeling, a little bit low or not, or, and connect with nature. They're so knowledgeable and they know a lot more than we do. Nature does. It's a complete ecosystem and they don't complain. There's no self-pity.
No.
It's beautiful.
Actually, I'm going to ask you something because my latest discovery, and this is a great tip for people who they will say we don't have any money to buy minerals, or we don't have money. Food is so depleted, we don't have money for quality of food. I have a tip for the poorest people of this world: get seawater and drink seawater. Can you elaborate on that? I read a book about it and I'm just wow.
Okay. It's a very nice point, actually, Natalie. It's brilliant. It's very simple. I mean, I know people who just literally, because we're lucky to live by the sea, just dive into the water, go a couple of meters in, get some fresh water from underneath the water. Well, not the top level, the second, and you just put it in the fridge and you drink it. Why? Yes, because it's full of minerals. And secondly, we are 70% water. Okay. And brings me onto a lovely topic. We are 70% water. And I don't know if you ever heard of Masaru Emoto.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yes.
Masaru Emoto does that when it talks about the impact of emotions, impact on how we think and what we say to water. And it's photographed and it's videoed and experiments been done loads and loads of time. And Emoto said basically that, careful how you think. Careful how you behave, because it does affect the memory of your water. Yes. So the memory of the water that comes out of the sea is just the most natural and purest form in which we can drink it, okay? And don't worry, if your terrain is healthy, if you're generally healthy, there's no amoebas going to come in and and do some funny action into your stomach, because the alkalinity or your stomach will actually battle that anyway. So Drinking water is great. For your colds, just literally sniff it up also, up your nose, you know. Gargle a bit if you have a sore throat. If you don't have seawater, you can just make salt water at home. Good old-fashioned bit of salt and some water, and do your gargling also. So it's
I
very,
was,
very good. Very good advice, Natalie.
thank you. You know, I read the whole big book about it, about the Dr. Quinton, if I'm pronouncing it
Quinton.
correctly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
He has a,
he said that the seawater's composition is like human blood, and you can use it
yes, yeah.
even for transfusion without all the side effects.
Yeah. There's actually that they make it here in Alicante, in the province of Alicante,
Yeah,
Quinton. Yeah,
exactly.
into vials. It's very good for you. Very good for you.
I went and I checked to make sure that I'm going to give advice that is actually feasible. And you can actually buy seawater all over the world. And it's
Yeah.
cheap, super cheap. And you dilute it and you make the best sports drink, remineralizing drink that exists. And you feel good. And all your minerals are taken care of. And you feel energized. You actually detoxify as at the same time. And win, 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 right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you would
And
add what you just said about fresh water, that you can pray the water, right? You can infuse it with good, loving thoughts, gratitude, and then drink it. Bless
yep.
yourself. Bless your
Yep.
body.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful procedure. I mean, sometimes when you're feeling a bit down, you can just leave it outside and under the moonlight also.
Yep.
And the ionization changes, coming back to electromagnetism in our body. Because water is absolutely, I'm going to talk about this because it's a lovely topic. It's one of my passions also.
Mm-hmm.
Every cell that we know has got water in it. I mean, that's 70% of us is water. And they're arguing now, we know there's 3 states of water, which is solid, liquid, and gas, okay? And now it's becoming quite scientifically proven there's like a 4th state of water, which is like a jelly. It's called altered water.
Mm-hmm.
And this altered water is actually our transmembrane, or basically the circle around our cells. And this is jellified, which is neither solid nor liquid, a little bit of a jelly. And this has the ionization, the electronics, the ion comes in and out of the cells thanks to this positive or negative charge. So it's very important that we drink. It's very important that we have the right ionization. And because our cells, at the end of the day, the electricity in it, the mitochondria, the little things inside the batteries are actually is what happens, is what makes all our body talk to each other. So coming back to my traditional Chinese medicine principles where I started, the meridian system for me, which the Chinese magnificently described 4,000 years ago, is something for me like electronic system in modern days. So I feel that when I'm putting needles in, I'm entering in some kind of energetic field, electronic system, electromagnetic, we can call it today. 4,000 years ago, electricity didn't exist, but they knew something kept everything together. So these cells are electronically charged. Everything in our body has to be electronically charged. And this is why it's very important that we drink water healthily, walk, move. And if you're not much of a walker, dance.
Beautiful.
Dance. Yeah.
But you know, when we were created, I don't think the creatrix had an idea to put us in the gym. It was about the movement, right?
Yes. I mean, every time we move, we are actually creating friction, and friction charges our cells. So, you know, when you're feeling a bit low and you really can't be bothered, just put your favorite song on. And the rule is it has to be the same song, okay? You put the same song on because then your mind gets into the set. Ah, she's going to do that crazy thing again. Okay. You put your favorite song on and you just go around like that, you know, in a whirlpool, and just enjoy the music, enjoy the movement of every part of your body. It's very, very uplifting.
Beautiful.
And barefoot if you can.
Now, this is 2 women talking, right? Our topic of this podcast is freedom of medical care. Okay, so that was abundantly explained. The point 1, read your labels. Point 2, what would be the advice of integrative health expert on freedom of medical care?
Okay, we're not really diverging of two women talking here, Natalie.
No.
It's about giving people an idea that there are other ways
Yes.
of healing. Okay, so all your little podcasts are showing a freedom of choice when we choose what to do. So we are constrained politically or physically by the doctor center that we have. Okay, let's be pragmatic. So let's see within your environment in which you are, if you can change your doctor, which you can. You have the right to change your doctor if you don't like them. Okay, in your health center, you can say, please, can I see somebody else? You can do that. It's a bit annoying for everybody because it's come out like a card and you're just given them automatically, but you have that right of choice, okay? You can choose which doctor you'd like to see. In the same way you can choose if it can be a man or a woman. You can do that, okay? So let's be pragmatic in that one solution. And then you can start asking the doctors, because a lot of young new doctors are much more open to complementary medicine, okay? They might not say, well, I can't prescribe it, but I think that's a great idea. So you can feedback these ideas to professionals whom you in the beginning feel are more qualified to give you the opinion. I think the older we get or the more savvy we become in looking after ourselves, the more we trust what we want to look for. So then you can have the option of, if it's physical, I like suggesting people see osteopaths. Okay, if it's more visceral, traditional Chinese medicine. If it's emotional, traditional Chinese medicine trained um, practitioners are also very good with emotional help. Okay, because for us, every organ represents an emotion, and that's very much where my line of medicine and Chinese medicine has gone, is very emotional based. There's a lot of neuro psychologists also. I love the idea of neuropsychology, which is options where not only are you talking, but there are machines can go on your head and they can help with the vibration and the electromagnetic frequencies to help you see what's going on in a given point of time. And of course, never, never, never underestimate the power of nature. So even after you see the doctor, go for a long walk, okay, or find yourself a tree, or chat to your friends. It's very important that we have this freedom of actually where we go afterwards. Don't just go straight to your bed. Okay.
Definitely. Wouldn't you also say that it is we mentioned that a little bit already, but the critical thinking and questioning, don't just take whatever it might be. Do your research, even if you think you're terminal or you've been told that you're terminal. We're all familiar with placebo and nocebo effect and
Yeah.
how that influences us, right? Maybe you would like to talk to that a little bit.
Very much so. If we come back
Okay.
just the point of having a water 70% water, and Masuru in his concept of how water can influence how we feel. And if we are 70% water, how we feel, how we think, how we vibrate, with whom we are eating, how we eat, what we eat. Everything has much more influence on us than we actually believe. And we'll come back to this, the technological era that we're living in. The vibrations or the electromagnetic frequencies in which we live also influences our cells, influences us. We just think that this is it, this is this is our protection. It's not. We're transparent, really. We're nothing. We're a mix of matter pushed together by information and basically electricity. This matter becomes dense because that's what we live in with gravity. But everything's going on in between. It's quantum medicine. We're solid because we think we're solid, but there's a lot going on. So it's a bit, we have to come away from this paradigm, exactly, Nati, that we're just solid. We're not. We're part of everything that is around us. It really is like that scene in The Matrix at the end of the film, where everything's just loads of lines and we're all part of this infrastructure, global, electromagnetic force of the universe. We're part of it. It's a beautiful idea. And I think when you get that, it is liberating. It is the biggest freedom, and is real freedom. Because it's very, very empowering.
Absolutely. So what you think, what you feel, how you think, how you feel, all this is actually governing what is happening with the physicality of you, and largely, isn't it?
Yeah. And the most beautiful frequency it's love. And it is not I'm not being hippie sitting on a mountaintop and meditating. This is
It's
real.
scientific now, yes.
It's scientifically proved the frequency of love is frequency that generates the piezoelectric cells in our heart that goes up to our brain, is actually the healthiest for us.
Well, as the audience knows, I don't know if you had your own experience. I'm sure you did in nature. I had mine a few years ago when I went into a series of deep trances, and I just went into the field. I was nothing in this pitch black thing, and I just felt like I'm one with it, and it's just loving me, and all
Yeah.
is well, and it's great. And then I got my word, the Lovetarian way. Oh, okay, that's my nature. Oh, everything that I'm not doing that is based on love and motivated by love is actually not me. It's the false. So now to
Absolutely.
embody that is, so it's tough, that body to live that. That's another story. But that is the reality. That feeling can change anything in our system, in our life, right?
Yes, and I do thanks so much. Of course, life is difficult. Okay,
Oh,
every day things come our way, and with my patients, what I see is just don't ask for it. It comes on its own. Okay, so our attitude will allow us to live away or not. Um, but things happen. Your kids get sick, or your husband gets sick, or your mum passes away. Of course, things happen. But it's just give yourself that chance to live in a way that's coherent to you, which makes you conscious about where we are in the world, from a very peaceful place. It's really, really nice. It's nice. It's really, really, it's real freedom. So when you have this peaceful feeling inside you, and you choose which care you want to go in, it happens because this frequency which you are vibrating in, this literally this biofrequency, which is we are part of, you tend to end up with people of a very similar tribe. So it is a ripple in the water, slowly going out, and sometimes people have to leave your life. New people come in, but it really is only positive people in your life, please. We've been through a very difficult 3-year shift in society, 3-year shift in healthcare, 3-year shift psychologically. Hopefully we're coming out of the end now, but there's a lot of healing to do now. A lot of people are lost. A lot of people have no meaning. Okay, and I'm finding this a lot in clinic. And why? What why now? So there's a lot of work to go on, and it does come back to the freedom of choice, freedom of healthcare, freedom of deciding what is better for you at this given point of time. Okay, you
yeah.
might need a psychologist. Okay, you might need a hand up and pull out with the tablets, but give it yourself 3 months. Get into the right place to feel stronger. Everything is cause and effect. So if you're going to change something, you need the energy to do so. If you haven't got the energy to change, wait a little bit and then go for that little battle, because you just get frustrated. Cause and effect, effect and cause.
Amen to that. What you just said, actually, I had this thought, because of course people sometimes are in a situation where they hear a diagnosis and they freak out and they are forced. Well, nobody can really force you, but yet they
You
do.
are.
They say to you, oh, you've got to do this treatment or you will die, or you've got 6 months to live, or whatever. And what I would really like to leave people with today as well is that to remind them that diagnosis is just that. It's just an idea, it's a concept, and we are energy beings and anything is possible.
Yes. And if you do need something, if you like treat, you've been given a news that you've got cancer or something like this, there are some amazing integrative clinics which will treat you. If you have your chemo, you choose for your chemo, then they'll help you to release the heat out of your body with traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, or even massages. So there are options. But of course, I'm in defense here of Natalie, when people are ill, and we come back to this word thing and how it affects us and how it influences us. When we diagnose from this meaning of 1 minute I'm healthy or 1 minute I'm not dying, until 2 years ago, 3 years ago, none of us were dying. Now all of a sudden we can die. Okay, it's been a huge wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But when people get this given to them that they're fatally ill or something, the diagnostic's not well, it's a new language. It's a brand new language. It's a scary language. And I always compare it when people come to see me, they're lost, absolutely lost. And I would implore the professionals who use the words every day, I include myself, sometimes we have to just come down a little bit and talk to the people in a language that they understand. Okay.
Yes.
We have all these technical words come out, and this treatment and that treatment and this chemical and that chemical, and we suggest this. It's very scary. So because of this elitism in language, when someone's ill, they have to trust the doctor. They have to. They see, what am I going to question here? What am I going to ask? So in a freedom of choice of medical care, it would be nice to see that the vocabulary used when people are ill would be a vocabulary that's accessible to most people. And this happens when, for example, we go to law, a legal situation, and they start saying this article, that article. Well, I don't know if that's, what did I say, what didn't I say, because it's not our daily language. Okay. So it's something that could also be, carefully looked into and studied, that the vocabulary, that the words that we use when someone's ill is, apart from going to the shock of finding, there's a fallibility in us, they have to start learning some other languages. It's very tiring, very scary.
I would really like to point out here or encourage people to truly treat the authority of a doctor as just another person who has experience. Yes, they have a training, but then there are other people who also have that. And I understand that you go through a shock. There is a diagnosis that is might be petrifying. And by the way, I've received one myself in my 20s. Here I am, lymphoma. Boom, 6 months of your life, radiation, chemo. And we were there. Oops. But we just chose to go like, no, I don't believe it. We just said, no, we don't believe it. And I almost had a fight with the doctor. No, I had a fight with the doctor because he was trying to convince me that, yes, you have it and you must have this, this, and this, and this. And I was like, no, maybe we will not. And we will just go and have a consultation with somebody else.
Yeah.
So
I always advise, if possible, obviously within reason, to get a couple of different advices, because you need a consented idea of what's going on in us. I mean, you don't go and start a brand new business overnight and just jump into, and the bank's not just going to give you €1 million. No, you have to work at where you're going. And I mention this a lot. We are our own business.
exactly.
We worry about our economics. We worry about our profitability, we worry about. So all these things, if we translate it in business terms, people say, oh, what are you talking about? But we are our business. Human beings, us, me, Philippa, I am my business. So I have to look after my profit and loss. I have to look after my assets. I have to look after, what I'm doing with what I don't need anymore, which can be emotional. It can be, physiological, but we are our own business. It's very important that we get that back into our psyche.
Yeah.
I'm not delegating my business to somebody else. I would be managing it properly. If you're a business person, businesswoman, a businessman, of course you manage it. Well, we are the same.
Yes.
We've lost this autonomy.
Yeah. Actually, the Lovetarian way, when I received all those downloads after my visions, first pillar that shaped out of it was taking 100% responsibility for your life. And
Yes.
what does that mean? That means that I love myself so much that I'm going to do everything that I need to do to make sure that I make the choices that serve my highest and best good. And in my world, in the world of Natalia, nooking me with some skull thing, chemo thing is just not loving to me. And it's like, for me, it's just common sense.
Yeah.
And I don't want to upset anybody, but if it upsets you, then I wonder why. Okay, because that is my freedom to say I don't want to put poison on my body. I would rather nourish my body. I would rather cleanse my body, detoxify my body, bring it to balance, and allow it to heal itself. That is my choice, and you make your choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're part in Chinese medicine. We're the elements. I mean, we're five elements. We're earth, we're fire, which is the electricity. We're ether, which is what's going through us. We're minerals. We've got loads of things. So it is important that we have to look after ourselves. We have that authority within ourselves to do so. The body's most happiest place is in health. And we only have to help it to get that place of health, of symbiosis, of natural, of being healthy. It doesn't like being ill. It naturally pushes itself to being healthy. Things just sometimes just don't give it time. And working in the wellness industry, and people come, and they give themselves 2 weeks or 3 or even 4 days. It doesn't matter. And they think, oh, this is not working. I said, it is working. You're giving your body time to heal. You're not working, working as in, on your computer. You're not running in the car to get to work. Your body just needs this time. We're educated to be in production all the time, to be always doing something, and we're not being. And when we look after self in a wellness context, it's let's just be for a little bit and let our body get back into its natural state of wellness, which it loves being there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So people, remember, you have the freedom to choose. Take a moment, take a breath, go hug trees before you make any extreme decisions. Philippa, last 3 minutes. What do you offer to the world? How can people work with you? How could you help them? How can they find you?
I have my private practice in a little village called O'Neill. I'm always available. Please WhatsApp me, because if I'm with patients, I won't pick up the phone, and I try not to have the phone on me all the time. I'm available as an integrative practitioner, a therapist, and absolutely available from a psychological perspective, emotional perspective. I apply my own method. It's the 3H+1, which is heart, head, and hands, and the other H is the Harvey in me. So all my treatments, workshops always have a creative component, okay? Because human beings need to use their head, absolutely have to use their heart to feel, and we forget about these things, which are the most amazing creative tools that we have as an animal, as a being, and we tend to just use all our head nowadays in this technology era. So that's where I am. I'm available, and it'd be lovely to hear from anybody. Any feedback would be great.
Perfect. So
Bioresonance, yeah. So body electric, body electric, body electric.
Well, I think I'm going to invite you in a few more months, then we can talk about something else. This was a very interesting topic, and I would like to actually talk for hours. Unfortunately, technicality of Instagram blocks us, and we cannot go over an hour, or we can't upload it to IGTV. So part 2, we shall continue.
That's lovely. Thank you, Natalie, for a lovely chat. It was an absolute pleasure to share our ideas.
So here is your website again for those who would like to contact you. We would like to thank the audience. Richard, thank you so much for all your comments. We had an active dude who was.
Oh, hey, thank you, Richard.
There are quite a few people live here, but Richard has been lovingly commenting, so we're very grateful. Thank you. This is on Facebook, this is on YouTube, this is going to be on IGTV. Please share, people, spread the world, and yeah, stay free, stay sovereign, and join us, or me, Philippa, not maybe in the future. Join me in my next guest, next week, and get in touch with Philippa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie. Bye.
Have a good day.